Hello and welcome to the Overwhelm is Optional podcast. I'm Heidi, Marke, coach and biggest cheerleader for successful but secretly overwhelmed women. As well as weekly episodes here on the podcast, you can find out more about what I offer by going to heidimarke.co.uk. So you want to do hard things because you want to live your life to the full, but you don't really want everything to feel hard. Now, this is really important. How can we do hard things the gentle rebel way? How can we do hard things without overwhelm, without exhaustion, without beating ourselves up, without thinking there's something wrong with us? How can we do those bigger things that to us feel hard without pushing against ourselves, without them actually being hard, as in pushing, closing down the heart, putting on a suit of armour, toughening up? How can we do them? Because it's the how. So I just want to reiterate this. If this is the first time you've listened to an episode, this is not a reiteration, is it? This is a hello and welcome to my world, where we are wanting to live life to the full, but rejecting the narrative that overwhelm and exhaustion is just the deal you make with the universe to have a full life. Because it's very tempting to think that we have to stop doing hard things. We have to stop expanding into fuller and fuller lives and fuller versions of ourselves if we don't want overwhelm. It can often feel, even when you've dealt with the overwhelm, because I've realised that this still comes up for me occasionally, and I catch it and work on it and let it go and just expand more. And that's this thing about, so you deal with the overwhelm and then it's like, I can't risk doing the bigger things that I still want to do because then it'll all happen again, and I've worked really hard to deal with the overwhelm. All the exhaustion. I always start when I'm talking about overwhelm, it's like the next step is that frustration, exhaustion, because it's when we're stuck in our heads pushing through overwhelm, we're ignoring the body, ignoring the heart, so we don't have the energy and the passion and the commitment and courage from the heart, and we're not looking after the body, so we get more and more exhausted. So when I'm saying overwhelm, that's like overwhelm is the symptom, it's the sign, it's your guide. It's your guide saying, hang on, this is the wrong way. Or I don't like right and wrong, because I'm not going to tell you what to do with your life. Wrong way as in there's an easier way. There's a more playful way. There's a more gentle way. There's a better way for you. There's a you way of doing things. And that overwhelm is a guide to say, course correction time. You're being too hard on yourself. That's what I know to be true for me, and that's what I know to be true for my clients, and that's what I know to be true from geeking out on all things overwhelm. So the idea is that we still get to do the hard things, or things that we are labelling hard. So for me, one of those things is writing my book at the moment, which I'm going to discuss. I'm going to give you 3 examples of ways I'm doing this right now in my life, so that you can see how I'm gently rebelling. You can see my own gentle rebellion. So the choice is not between not doing hard things and being free of overwhelm. The choice is between identifying things that we are labelling as hard. And when I say label, I don't mean that lightly. I don't mean as in, oh, you're a big wuss because you're saying that's hard and it's not. I don't mean that at all. I mean things that we are told are hard, things that we believe to be hard, things that to us feel hard, whatever they are to you. They could be easy to somebody else. It's absolutely irrelevant. The things that you identify in your life right now that are the hard things, the things that you a really cool way of, an easier way of identifying them, if they don't already spring to mind, which I highly suspect they do, is when you go to do them, fear comes up. When you go to do them, you procrastinate. When you go to do them, you get really overwhelmed. When you go to do them, you feel exhausted. When you go to do them, you get this, oh, it's not really that important. And you kind of rationalize it into, yeah, well, it's just like not the right time. I don't have the energy. I don't have the headspace. It's just like so-and-so won't be happy if I do that. And I'm not saying these are excuses. I'm saying they're symptoms, they're signs that this feels too hard. Those are the things those things that would light you up, if you imagine them done, they're the things that feel really good. They're the things that are frustrating to keep putting off and off and off. You are done with putting them off. You want to do them now. This episode is about how to do the hard things the gentle rebel way. So before we get into that, I was going to do this like how I'm getting on, what I'm up to, just because I know that sometimes you like to know. And then I've realised that because I'm giving 3 examples of what I'm actually up to right now and how I'm practicing what I preach. Oh God, I hope I don't preach. How awful. You know what I mean? How I walk my walk and talk my talk or whatever. Walk your talk? I don't know. You know. How I do what I say. Yeah, how I do what I say. I much prefer that. Much simpler. That will give you a huge insight into what I'm up to at the moment anyway, so I'm not going to waste your time at the beginning. But one thing that I am doing more of is working with one-to-one clients, because that's something I decided I wanted to do. And I have to say, I'm loving it. And I find it really quite funny that 2 years ago, or even 1 year ago, I was really resistant to taking on one-to-one clients. Like I was taking one-to-one clients, but what I mean is I was resistant to just being about that. And I'm not just about this is fun, it's not making any sense at all, Heidi. What I mean is I was very resistant to the idea of setting myself up as a coach, of like putting it out there I'm a coach, even though I've been coaching for a long time, and even though I'm a good coach, I was like, I want to reach more people, I want to do courses. And I think part of it was just needing to heal from my burnout, and I lost so much confidence and I needed some space for myself. And I guess for me, one-to-one just felt like too much interaction with people. I'm not actually entirely sure that's true now, but I think I was scared. I know I was scared, and I know I lost confidence. And I also know that because I am very mission driven, I am a big visionary. I was like, well, how can I reach many people with the least energy? And that to me was course creation. And that's fine, but I also discovered that I love working one-to-one. And so I just decided I'm going to do more one-to-one, and I am doing more one-to-one, and it's joyful, and oh my God, I just love it. It's really hard to explain. When I work with somebody full stop, so whether that's one-to-one or in my group program, I can see for them what they can't see for themselves yet. And that, I do believe that's just the job of a good coach, right? My coach can do that for me. And that's just, it's a privilege. It's like it's a gift when somebody says, yeah, I want to work with you. And then you just get, it's so exciting because I can see it. And then I get to help that person allow themselves into being that fuller version of themselves. And it's just such a privilege. It's really hard I don't have words to describe how much I love doing this work. And I guess I'm just putting out there that I'm just feel incredibly grateful. See, can you hear the tears in my eyes? I'm such a sensitive, emotional person. So that's one of the most joyful things that's happening with me right now. And I'm really, really grateful for that. And if you want to work with me one-to-one, grab a space, press the discovery call button below this, or go to my website and press the work with me and just book a call. Because obviously as a one-to-one coach, yes, I've opened up for more spaces, but there's a limit how many people I can hold space for at once, by definition. Also because as a gentle rebel, I refuse to overwork, and I work in a very unique way, and that requires me to be also holding the space for me to have a joyful life, which means that I don't work very many hours in a week. So anyway, if you're interested in working with me and you're just ready, or if you've got questions, just ask. If you're ready to work with me, book a call, let's chat, see if we're fit to work together. No obligation, but that's how we do it. We talk to each other, and I help you empower you to make the decision that feels good for you. And that's it. It's lovely. Discovery calls are similar are joyful in a similar way, but yeah, just it's all good. It's all just, oh God, I'm rambling here. Anyway, I'll shut up now and get on with get on with this. Oh, another thing I'm doing that you might be excited about, I hope you're going to be excited about, which I'm behind on, and I'm okay with the fact I'm behind on. I'm creating a summer sale because I realised I've got a couple of tiny huge courses. When I say tiny huge, I mean they're really small, because who's got time for a course? You certainly haven't got time for a course. But they're huge as in they have a big impact, because that's what I'm all about. How small can I make something to get the biggest impact? And I have two that are, I'm not actively selling and marketing, and I just think that's rude, quite frankly, because you might want them and I believe in them. And so I'm gonna do a bit of a hello, these courses are here to help you, but I haven't managed to do the I was going to do a special summer sale bundle, because I thought that would be fun, because it's really nice in the summer to put your earbuds in, find some space for yourself, and just let my voice wash over you, which is how my courses work. But I haven't done that yet, and I'm okay with that. That's okay. It'll all happen in the right time, but look out for that. So if you're not on my mailing list, you're going to want to get on my mailing list so that you hear about that, because I'm going to do this special summer discounted sale for fun, because I can. And so you're going to want to hear about that, because obviously it'll be for limited time. It'll also be on, I hope it better be on next week's podcast. Of course it will be, because I will. It doesn't take that much effort, Heidi. It's just that I've had higher priorities, which I'm going to discuss with you. These are I've been focused on my doing the hard things the gentle rebel way, and that's why I haven't done that small thing. I'm not going to apologise. I'm just going to let you know. Woohoo, that's coming up. So stay tuned. Oh, hilarious. Right, I'm going to stop rambling. I feel like I'm being ridiculously silly today. Right. Doing hard things the gentle rebel way. So if something comes to mind immediately, just let that be. And then as you listen, you might find that it starts to shift and change. I hope so, because I want this to be. I really feel like I'm infusing energy into this episode extra much today. I'm really excited about the idea that an episode can cause a shift and transformation for you just by listening and being open to things shifting for you. So it's worth kind of like don't hold on to things too tightly. That's because you could like identify some things, sit down with a journal and work through it that way if you wanted to, or you can just let my words wash through you and just see what comes up, and then make sure that you pay attention to insights that come up over the next few days or weeks. Either way, or both, whatever works for you. Okay, so doing hard things the gentle way. So number one, we're going to gently rebel against them being hard. This is really important. So what if to somebody else they're not hard, that means there's a possibility of them not being hard for us, right? So just entertaining the idea that it's possible that they exist somewhere in the universe as not being a hard thing. So one of the things for me is I'm writing my book, and writing a book is considered to be a hard thing. But what if it's not? What if it's not for me? Or what if it's not at this point in history? What if it's not for everyone? If there's one single person out there who finds it easy to write a book, that destroys the idea that writing a book is a hard thing. And I realised that my labelling the book as a big project, as a big heavy thing, was actually unhelpful, and that I needed to rebel against that. So that's number one. We're going to gently rebel against the idea that hard things are hard, always, for all time, like a definite thing. And if we can find any evidence to the contrary, that's helpful, but it's not always helpful. So if for example, we said, well, that's not hard for that person, and then we start comparing ourselves to that person, that's not going to work, is it? And as a gentle rebel, we're not open and available for that. We're not open and available for comparing ourselves to others and deciding that in any way we're inadequate. Because if you're going to compare yourself to somebody else and decide that you're a bit rubbish, Well, that's not an act of self-love. It doesn't serve anybody at all. It doesn't do anything. If you're going to compare yourself to somebody else and say, oh my God, that's amazing, how did they do it? What was their thinking behind it? What was their energy behind it? What was their intention? Did they have support? Can you see it's completely different? And I hope that you're starting to realize that the gentle rebellion is very much about how we do things, how we do things, how we do things. So the next thing is, which is linked. So we're rebelling against and being hard by rejecting or maybe just resisting the idea that life has to be hard. Now, I started off with by rejecting the idea that life has to be hard. And then I realized that the rejecting is quite a pushy energy, and that because the gentle rebellion is about this playfulness, this gentleness, this tuning into this sensitive, how do you want to do things under the radar? It's more sneaky and playful. Maybe reject isn't a word that embodies that. So instead I was going for maybe just resisting. So it's like, I'm just letting it go. I'm letting go of the idea that life has to be hard, particularly the idea that your life has to be hard or my life has to be hard because we want more than other people. So anytime we think, oh, but I just want too much, then that means the deal I do is that it gets to be hard. The deal I do for having the life I want and getting to feel at home in it is that it has to be hard. And by definition, that doesn't work because it's not going to feel like your life. You're not going to get to be yourself. You're certainly not going to feel at home in it. So it is actually an oxymoron, the idea that we do a deal where we get to have what we want, but the price we pay is it's hard. We get overwhelmed, exhausted and frustrated. Can you see? But unless we question it, it's the current narrative is that it gets to be hard, that life is hard. Life is hard. Life is hard. What if it's not? What if it doesn't have to be? And then if you start going, well, for some people it's really, really hard and I'm really lucky, so I ought to feel okay. In what way is that serving anybody? Is that serving the people who you're thinking about who are in terrible situations? Is it serving them? No. Is it serving you? Definitely not. Do you have a duty to be happy when other people are miserable? Probably, maybe, but not in a way that's going to add pressure to you, because that's not what gentle rebel does. A gentle rebel resists the pressure, that automatic pressure that comes from the training that we have had in the kind of society we grew up in, without blaming the society because it's not necessary, or if it's helpful to you, you can do it, but watch where your energy is going. Because if we get too caught up in the, well, I shouldn't have had this said to me as a child, the schooling system needs changing. Yeah, maybe. But what about you? What about, so a gentle rebel is just going to stand in their truth that for them, the school system felt pressured. The school system ended up teaching them habits that help them become successful, but no longer help them, and that now they need to let go of. And it's unhelpful if we get really caught up in the anger of wanting to change everything or blame everything, because then we just lose our power. We lose our energy. We lose our attention. We lose our focus. We lose our gentleness. And as gentleness is so important. And then another aspect I want to bring into this is that by listening to the resistance. So when anything that's coming up for you, whether it's words, whether it's feelings in the body, whether it's like something in the heart, anything that's coming up for you that feels like a resistance to my words. You know, if you're kind of arguing back with me, yeah, you say that, Heidi, but it's easy for you, or, you know, but it is hard for me, Heidi. And that thing I want, it is hard. Anything that's coming up for you that is resistance to being open to the idea that it doesn't have to be hard for you, that can be used in a really useful way. So one of the things is just to notice what comes up. So some of the things that come up might be, yes, but I don't want to be lazy, I don't want to be selfish, and I don't want to miss out on my life. So I accept that things have to be hard because I don't want to. Well, the lazy and selfish, I think, is related to, well, I know it is for me and some of my clients, it can be related to the idea that I don't want to be like the kind of person who's hurt me in the past. I don't want to be that kind of person who's lazy and selfish. So if you think about it, well, it doesn't matter if you're in work or a business. So you're the go-to person to get things done and you take on masses of responsibility. You take on huge emotional weight on your shoulders for other people's happiness. So some of those people, not all of them, but some of those people will be offloading their stuff onto you because they're lazy and or selfish. And because you don't want to be them, you just don't want to be them. That's not who you are. You're somebody who loves to make people happy. You're somebody who helps other people. You like being the go-to person to get things done. You like being reliable and trustworthy. So because you don't want to be them, when I say to you things don't have to be hard, that might come up to you. And I want you just to recognize that. That's resistance, but it's interesting information. What if you can turn around the words lazy and selfish? So lazy, what if you can be purposefully lazy in this like allowing way? So one of the things that I know is true for me and my clients, what I found in my work is when we strive for that feeling of ease, satisfaction, acceptance, etc., we don't tend to get it. It's because these things are an allowing, like sleep, like rest, like ease, joy, happiness, being ourselves, feeling at home in ourselves. They're an allowing thing. So we can use the word lazy to turn that around and go, I practice being lazy so that I can allow into my life all of the lovely things that I've already worked hard for, but that I haven't been paying attention to because I've trained my mind to go into what's next, what's next, what's next, what's wrong, what needs improving, next problem. So actually we can turn that around. So what I would go with the question, what do you mean by lazy? What is it about people who are lazy that you don't like, that you don't want to emulate? Is it because in the past or now there are people around you who slopey shoulder their work onto you and that's cost you? And of course you don't want to be the kind of person who costs other people the same. So celebrate that about yourself and then think, right, I'm taking back the word lazy for myself. I've put in my messy journal somewhere about how I really want to allow this feeling of luxurious laziness, where I get to be so comfortable in my own skin, so satisfied by the work and the impact I have on the world, so feel so loved that I get to just lounge, just like go, yeah, I work really hard, or even not. So it's not actually, this is really important. It's not just after working really hard or loving somebody or doing something good. It's really important that it's just like because I exist, I get to enjoy luxurious laziness. It's a deep act of, it's a rebellious act of self-care to say, I get to have luxurious laziness regardless of what I've achieved today. It's really rebellious. So if you're finding that not a very gentle rebellion, if it's like, well, that's too much, make it smaller. So think of what comes up for you when you think about the word lazy, what comes up for you when I say that I'm stepping into more and more luxurious laziness, what comes up for you? Notice that resistance, because in the resistance is the power, because the resistance is giving you useful information. It's self-awareness. So just allow that to wash over. Just get curious. What comes up? What can you do with that? How can it be helpful? How can you be more kind to yourself, more gentle? What do you want to do with that? What's it telling you? Because it will be different for you than for me, or not. And then the selfishness is really important. So one of the resistance to rebellious acts of self-care is, but it's really selfish. One of the resistances that comes up in the morning promise, one of my go-to tools that I teach and use myself, the morning promise, I commit to myself first to living my life my way. The selfishness is going to come up, right? I can't put myself first. That's outrageous. That's just not right, Heidi. Well, I'd like to gently and politely and kindly challenge you on that, because actually I commit to myself first. When we look after ourselves first, we remove the need for other people to worry about us. We show up as our best. We serve best. So if I wasn't looking after myself and I went to go on a call with a client, then they would get less. And I'm not available for that. My clients get the best. So my clients get the best, so I commit to myself first. My partner wants the best version of me. He deserves that. He's incredible. So I commit to myself first. My dogs don't want the grumpy, stressed owner, so I commit to myself first, to living my life my way. Well, this is what it's taken me quite a while to work out, so I'm 54. By being myself, I am at my best in the world. I get to have my full adventure. My dreams get to come true. Everything happens from being myself, from being the full Heidi. One of the journaling activities I did this morning is, because I've been really struggling. So for ages, people have been saying, and when I say people, I mean business mentors, coaches, etc. Be more Heidi. And I suddenly realized, like, I thought it was a confidence thing. It's like, well, I can't just show up as myself. What does that even mean? No, it's not that at all. It's like I actually didn't know what it meant. What does it mean to be more Heidi? What does that even mean? It's not like nobody else can show me that, because nobody else is me. So that's quite hard, actually. So I've just let that sink in a bit, and then I realised it's about loving myself. So when I started this practice of I love myself, I love myself, I love myself, which I got from a book, I think it's called Loving Yourself Like Your Life Depends on It. I didn't read the book. Very often don't read books. I read samples, or I read the title. I think I read some of the sample. I don't even know if I read that actual book. I don't know what I did. Anyway, it came from another book I was reading. It said she'd read this book. I don't know. You know how it works. So I thought, well, this. Oh, that's it. I read about somebody who wrote the book, then I didn't read his book. But basically his story was he'd had this terrible time, like really bad. Can't remember what it was now. And he just started this practice. He reached absolute rock bottom, and he started just saying, I love myself, I love myself, I love myself. And apparently, I haven't read the book, his life changed. And I thought, well, that makes sense, right? Because when we love and accept ourselves, we're different in the world, and then better stuff happens. I know this to be true, but if you want to go with the fluffier way of looking at it, you'd go with the saying, smile and the world smiles with you. And we know this. We walk around in a foul mood, and we don't make anybody's day better, and we certainly don't make our day. When we write the day off, well, that's ruined the whole day because I've got stuck in traffic, and now I'm late, and now doom, everything's going to go wrong. We can kind of predict how our day is going to go. So let's back it up and pull it all together. So, how to do hard things the gentle rebel way. Gently rebel against the idea that they are hard things by rejecting, or maybe just gently resisting, the idea that life has to be hard. Or that by doing hard things, that's the deal we make to have the life that we want. And then by listening to any resistance to that being true for you, particularly around things you would become lazy and selfish if things were easy for you. And then the second one is this idea that if I don't do the hard things the hard way, I won't live my full life. So just noticing what comes up for you. And then I'm just going to give you 3 examples of how I'm doing this right now in my life. So the first one is fitness. Now, I've noticed that over the, I don't know how long, last few months, I've been really procrastinating around this, like a bit cross that Simon has a mince pie a day during the Christmas period brings you luck, because mainly it doesn't, it just brings me more weight. And although I'm actually very comfortable with my weight, and I'm very happy with my body, I put weight on from eating the mince pies, and then there was chocolate, and then something else happened. I don't know, there just seems to be a lot of chocolate, and then Simon was baking, and it's lovely, and it's all fun, it's all like lovely stuff, but I was like, yeah, I'm heavier than I want to be. I don't want to be this weight. This is just not what I wanted. And I also wanted to feel stronger, so I wanted more muscle. I don't know, there was just, and then I was like, well, I'm not going to do the bashy way. And then I noticed that although I was writing down every day, I'm going to do things like I'm going to do more yoga, I'm going to go for more walk. I was writing in things that I wanted to do. They weren't really happening, or they weren't happening consistently. So I noticed procrastination around my plans, and then obviously I noticed the disappointment with myself, and then I didn't go very far. I honestly don't let myself go into the whole you need to be better at this, because it's just a nonsense. I reject that. The constant building of an impossible to-do list and an invisible get better at list. They're the two things that I teach to resist and to not eliminate but change how I did a episode, I think it was a couple of years ago, about to-do lists and how, and somebody's, I've had more than one people say that was really good, really helpful. So you can reframe your to-do list, and then this secret invisible get better at list, it just eats away at you. You're never quite good enough, you're not worthy. That's rubbish. I don't want that. I'm not available for an overwhelming to-do list. I'm not available for overwhelm, full stop. I'm not available for exhaustion. I'm not available for having an invisible get better at list. But it's sneaky. Both those things are sneaky. So I have to catch my mind and turn it around, which is what I do. So this is what I've been doing instead. So I wanted to, actually, there were loads of things I wanted to do. Like, I wanted to kayak more, I wanted to cycle, and I didn't have a bike. I wanted to walk more, I wanted to be lifting weights, I wanted to do more yoga, like there was more qigong, there was like loads of stuff I wanted to do. So it's not like there's not things that I like and that are fun. So kayaking, I have been kayaking, so I'm really happy with that. What else? So the next thing, I think yoga is really important to me, because I've kind of always done it, like, and I was going to say badly, but that's a negative self-judgment which I reject. I would say inconsistently, as in I might say, oh, I should do a whole hour today, and because it's a whole hour I don't do it, and then I do a little bit, 5 or 10 minutes, but I discount that. Well, neither of those is helpful. One's a big pressure and the other is ridiculous. So this is what I've been doing instead. I have the yoga mat in my bedroom, and then I get up and I pretty much now always do, and this is silly because I've actually, now I'm saying this to you, I've been doing this anyway, but I was discounting it. So I pretty much always start my day with a little bit of qigong or yoga, and to me they're very similar, and I'm probably breaking all the rules and combining them because that's what I do, and also because I was trained in Zen yoga, which comes from the qigong branch of things more than the hatha yoga anyway. So these kind of all combine really easily and really nicely. But I wanted to up my kind of physical practice. So qigong can be, I guess I was thinking of it as a gentler, more energetic practice, and I wanted to do some more kind of like physical yoga. So I just decided I'm going to do a very short sun salutation, and one that is good for me, that works for me. And that's what I'm doing. And I'm doing it with real intention, with real connection to the body, feeling the strength of my muscles, enjoying the physicality of it. So it's a meditation, it's a moving meditation, but it's like a strong physical one, because that's important to me. I want to feel stronger. I'm 54. I know it's important to weight bear, and it just feels really nourishing, and I'm really, really enjoying that. And the reason I'm enjoying it is there's no pressure. I've removed the pressure. I'm like, if I do 1 minute, that's enough. 1 minute counts. And as soon as 1 minute counts, 5 or 10 minutes is nothing. 5 or 10 minutes feels like the 1 minute, because as soon as I remove the pressure, it's easy. And this comes from a book that I have shared before, Kaizen, One Small Step to Save Your Life, I think it's called. And there's a story in there about a coach and a woman he was coaching, and she was like really, really overweight, and she was just resisting doing anything about it. And he said, just bounce once in front of the television, bounce once. So she did this little bounce, and the next day do 2, and then 3, etc. So it's these, what we're doing is we're bypassing the amygdala, the fear center in the brain, and we're just saying, well, I'm doing it anyway, and you're not going to notice. It's not a big deal. And this is a gentle rebellion. So instead of saying I must do, or I ought to do, or it would be good for me to do a proper, in inverted commas, yoga practice every single day, instead I'm just going, well, this is how I start my day. I clean my teeth. Actually, I do the yoga first. I do my yoga, I meditate, I clean my teeth, I journal. This is just who I am. It's not a big deal. Nobody's noticing. Nobody needs to know. I don't tell anyone. I just told you, but I'm okay because I'm sharing it, because that's what I do. I'm demonstrating that you can do hard things your way. So the yoga is now happening. And when I say that, I mean this moving meditation that allows my body to get stronger and more supple, that allows energy to flow, that just feels really good. So I'm doing that. I'm actually doing it morning and evening from between 5-10 minutes probably. And I'm really good with that. And then if any other spontaneous yoga happens in the day, I'm good with that. If it doesn't, that's fine. If I miss a day, it's fine, because it doesn't matter, because it's not a big deal. I just do it. There's my yoga mat, get it out, roll it out. And what I've done is I've attached success to the rolling out of the mat. That's it. I don't have to do anything. The success is rolling out the mat. Woohoo! Brilliant me. And in the evening, I don't roll the mat out. I just lie on the floor. That's it. Because it's just, because I'm winding down for bed. So it's like, I can't bother with the mat. And I'm not doing anything that I'm not balancing. So don't necessarily need the mat. Easy, right? So I've done that. What else have I added in? A multi-gym. This is quite funny. So I wanted to lift more weights, and I'm a big fan of the kettlebell swing because it's one of the most efficient all-time weight-bearing exercises. And for some reason, I'm not doing it. I know why I'm not doing it, because it's quite difficult to do inside. I have done it in my bedroom, but yeah, it's like I don't want to break anything. And then I could do it outside, but the weather in England is varied. We have a lot of weather, and I guess I don't get into the pattern of it, because then it's raining again. So, and then I'm like, well, when we're building a straw bale garden room, and that's where it's going to go, I'll do it then. And then we're not building it, so it's not happening yet. It is now happening, by the way. The straw bale garden room is happening. Super excited. But if I wait until that's built, I mean, it's not going to have a floor for a while. Like, I'm not going to pick up a kettlebell. It could be months. Like, that's not acceptable. I wish to do it now. So what happened is this. Simon wanted bifold doors. And obviously, when you're building a straw bale room, you're using local materials. Straw is a waste material. It's all, we want to recycle. And also, you're not going to put super expensive bifold doors in I guess you could. But anyway, we didn't want to. So anyway, Simon found some on Free Cycle. It's like, blimey, amazing. And they also had a multi-gym. I mean, it's just so funny. So we had to hire a van to get the doors, which, God, are much heavier than my mind. My mind didn't even think about that. I don't know why. Anyway, and so we picked up this multi-gym, and we didn't have to take it to bits. It had been standing on her drive for ages, but it's fine. And now it's in our garden, which is just hilarious, because from my bedroom window, I can see my beautiful, beautiful garden. And as many of you will know, I adore my garden. I just absolutely love it. It's magical. And now in my view is the multi-gym, the top of the multi-gym. But actually, I love that too, because it just represents even more of the life that I've always wanted. I'm quite happy to go to a gym, but I don't want to drive anywhere. Not because I love driving, but if I want to work out, I just want to do it. It's my rebellious nature. I really don't want to drive there and have to, I don't know, deal with people maybe. I don't know. I just want to go into the garden. Basically, I want a gym, a home gym, and we will soon have one, because this is one of the things that will go in the straw bale garden room, because that's where it's a quiet space for yoga, kettlebells, everything. But at the moment we don't have it, so there's now a multi-gym in my garden. I just find this highly amusing. Because I also find it amusing because at the moment we haven't had rain for a while, so it's not getting wet. So it's actually like being in a country that doesn't have rain, where you don't have to constantly be bringing your garden cushions in and then putting them back out again, and putting your washing out and then bringing it back in, and putting your multi-gym on your lawn, and then you can't bring that back in because it's super heavy. So anyway, that's what's going on with me. A multi-gym has magically appeared on my lawn for free, and I love it. I absolutely love it. Simon's gone away, and before he went away, I was like, you have to set the multi-gym up. And when I say set it up, it was only putting the weights back on, because obviously we had a van, we didn't have to dismantle it, which is probably a good idea, because I'm not sure if it would dismantle, but it all works brilliantly, and it's recycled. I'm so excited. Anyway, I really like it, because I don't have any like I don't have in mind this like ripped body or anything like that. I just think it's really nice to feel the strength of your muscle. I think my muscles are amazing. I think my body is a magical healing machine that can do amazing things. Like I can lift things, and having more muscle is a good thing. I like it. It's nice. So I'm not going to become this like ripped body. I'm not interested. I don't have any kind of, I suppose I have a little bit of a like, yeah, I'd just like to have a little bit more definition, but it's not that. It's about the joy of having a body and then this machine on the lawn, and I can just go outside before breakfast for 10 minutes, and I'm using my breath to connect with my body, and I'm really getting out of my head, because I noticed this morning I was doing it. I was like, where's my head? And my head was in this podcast, rehearsing this podcast, thinking about this podcast, getting ideas, getting excited. I'm like, no, in the body. It's so nice, because it's so physical to gently and slowly lift a weight, and to experience my arms, to experience my legs, to experience work. Actually, I think it gets a lot of muscles. It's nice. And then, so I did it on Sunday morning, and I was super excited. So I probably lifted a little bit more than I should have done. I didn't hurt myself. I was just like, oh my God, I ache. I was just quite excited about that. It was nice. So then I just waited a couple of days so it can heal. And then I thought, oh, I still ache a little bit there. Oh, I'm going to do it anyway, because it's just, I really like it. I don't know how long this will last. I hope it will last, because it's easy and it's fun and it's joyful. So there you go. I'm now doing yoga and qigong every day. I'm lifting weights. I'm actually, because I'm excited about lifting weights, I'm going to get the kettlebell. I think I just might put the kettlebell near the multi-gym, because I can, because we haven't had rain for a bit. I'm planning that by the time it rains again, the straw bale garden room will be up and I can bung it all in there. That's my plan. We'll see. We might have to erect a tent over it all instead. Oh, I could put a tent up. Now, what I like about what I'm doing right now, I hope you can hear the playfulness in my voice. Instead of saying it's hard to get the fitness that I want, I'm saying, how can I make it happen? How can I make it fun? How can I make it easy? And at every step, I'm removing the pressure. I'm removing the idea there's anything wrong with me, that I have to do this. I get to choose it, and I get to enjoy it, and I get to make it fun, and I'm playing with it. It would be hilarious to put a tent up on our lawn over the multi-gym and the kettlebell. It would be funny. It would also be fun, because it would look ridiculous. Like, oh, is somebody come to stay? No, that's my gym. It's funny. And that, I love that. I love that things get to be funny, that I get to do things differently, that I get to play. I'm gently rebelling against the idea that that's a ridiculous thing to do. It's not. It's done. I love it. Right. And the other thing, God, this is getting a bit long, this episode, isn't it? Let's do this. So the other fitness thing is intermittent fasting. Now, this has been really interesting for me, because I have known for a while that fasting is really good for you for lots and lots of reasons I'm not going to go into. I no longer Google and geek out on nutrition stuff, because it fills my head, and I refuse to retain all of this stuff in my head, because I wish to have a clear headspace. So basically, I read stuff, I summarize it, I remember the bits I need, and I dump the rest. So something's either good for me, lights me up, energizes me, it's my kind of thing, or it's not. So I let it go. And then I let go of all of the research and just remember, oh yeah, I want to do intermittent fasting because I know it's good for me. And if there's anything I need to remember in order to motivate myself, I will. So for example, apparently intermittent fasting's it's anti-aging, it's gut healing, it's good for your mitochondria, which are the powerhouse little things. I don't even know, I guess. See, I've forgotten. I can't tell you anymore. Oh, that's hilarious. I like the fact that I've forgotten. Anyway, basically, lots of things. So I decided that I wanted to do it. But here's the thing. Simon got into it first, and it used to be the other way around. I'd geek out on this stuff and he might be resistant to it or try it later. He's got really into it. He's doing like, I went away for a weekend, came back, and he'd done a 36-hour fast and felt marvellous. Then he'd had a sauna and a cold plunge. I was like, I was a little bit of envy, I have to say. I was like, that's the kind of person I thought I might aspire to be, and he beat me there. So actually, I've been inspired by him, and that's really nice. Oh, God, I realised I said that as if I'm never inspired by him. He inspires me a lot, but the nutrition stuff I used to do first anyway, and I used to inspire him, and now it's switched, and that's nice because now I don't have to read the stuff, I just ask him, and I really like that. So anyway, I was kind of trying it, and then I was struggling with it. So, and I'd read that intermittent fasting is different for women, so I hung on to that and went, well, it's just harder for women, so I'm going to break my fast when it works for me. And I thought, that's great, and that's working for me, but it wasn't working for me. So what was working was not eating my meal in the evening earlier. So for example, eating at 4 or 5 instead of 6 to 7 makes a huge difference in the quality of my sleep. Oh my goodness, this was lovely for me, just amazing. So I was really excited about that. But I'd got into my routine in the morning. I have this most delicious coffee. We have the most incredible coffee maker. I love my coffee, the ritual of it. I love it when Simon brings it to me Sunday morning in bed. Like, there's so much joy in that, but it breaks the fast. I'm like, well, I'm not giving that up because that's joyful. I'm not fasting and missing out. That's not happening. That's one of my most intensely joyful experiences of my week. I really, this. You might laugh at this. You can laugh at this. I'm okay with that. It's almost a spiritual experience for me because it's such good coffee. Simon specially selects it, as in looking for great deals of ethical coffee. I'm connecting to the people who made the coffee. It's like there's so much to get from a coffee bean. Like you can smell and taste the earth and the air around the plant. I mean, anyway, I'm geeking out on this stuff. I didn't want to give up my coffee to fast. So I was doing probably 12 to 14 hours. We naturally do a 12 to 14 hour fast anyway. So if you finish eating at 6 and you don't eat till 8, that's a 14-hour fast, right? That's cool. And that's really good for you. And apparently most people don't do that. So I already had that. I thought that would do. But then I noticed, and I believe this is related to what I was talking about earlier about, eating the mince pies and the chocolate and putting on a bit of weight. I noticed my energy wasn't quite where I wanted it. And I've had blood sugar issues in the past that I'd solved, and now I was like, I don't like this. I want more energy. My gut, I've done gut healing protocols before. I noticed my gut wasn't as happy. Sometimes it is, and then it will kind of get knocked out again. I thought, no, I'm not. I don't like this. I want to heal my gut, and I want to power up my mitochondria because they're the energy powerhouses. So I decided I'm going to do some intermittent fasting. And I was reading this book about intuitive intermittent fasting by Dr. Will Cole. I hadn't read all the book before I just went for it because basically he does a 4-week program, and obviously I'm going to rebel against it because that's the nature of being a Heidi. The first week was have a 12-hour fast. Well, we do that anyway, so that was easy. And we already eat really good food, so that was easy. So then I went for the second one, but I didn't plan it. I did it accidentally because I was reading the book before I went to Glastonbury. Then I went to Glastonbury, and actually at Glastonbury I did quite a long fast by accident because it was really hot, and I found it quite difficult to find healthy, locally produced, quality, gluten-free food. I just found it quite difficult. And I was also struggling with the crowds a bit. So it's like, I can't walk all over there. I can't go through all those people to that really nice organic place. So I ended up fasting by accident, but actually it felt really good. So anyway, and then I wasn't very well after Glastonbury. So there's been this gap, and I wasn't ready. I wasn't prepared to do a whole week of 18-hour fast. But I kind of I did the weekend because it's easier at the weekend, and I loved it. Actually, I didn't like it to start with. And this is what it raised for me. First of all, it was like, I'm not going to be bashy. So if it got to a stage where I was stressing my body out, I was going to break the 18-hour fast. That was the commitment I made to myself. I wasn't doing it to be restrictive and unkind to myself. I wasn't available for that. I was doing it to support my gut and my energy levels, and I was willing to be curious and playful with it. This is really, really important. So intuitive fasting, or an 18-hour fast or longer, well, that could be a hard thing, right? No, I was not available to do it as a hard thing. It had to be a playful, curious, nourishing thing for me. So on the first day of the fast, I felt really tired. So I rested a lot. I listened to a healing meditation online and fell asleep. I journaled a huge amount. This is really interesting to me, is that during the time I wasn't eating, I found this spaciousness. Because you're not in the routine of, and now I eat, now I have my coffee, now I have my breakfast, now I do this, now I do this, now I do this, always thinking about food. What's the next meal? How can I make it delicious? How can I make it healthy? No, all this space was created, and this is only an 18-hour fast, and I don't say that as if that was an easy thing. I say it as I just missed breakfast. So it was like 6 o'clock the previous evening until 12 o'clock the next day. So you are just missing breakfast. It's not too harsh because you're asleep for most of it. So I made it gentle. I was really kind to myself. The next day, I was a bit annoyed. I was like, I feel really tired. I was expecting to have this clear head and feel really energized. But I just stuck with it because I'd made a commitment to be curious and playful. And I did. My coach has set us 2 quite big kind of like up-leveling projects. And I found that because I was fasting, I had the space to consider them. And I did some really good journaling work, some work for myself. What I found is, because I was fasting at the weekend, I used that space where I would have been thinking about food or would have been getting on with my day. So I didn't feel like I had the energy to get out in the garden and lift rubble, which is one of the things that we need to do at the moment, or want to do at the moment. So instead, I rested and went inward. So it became like a nourishing retreat as well. Now, I didn't do a week, and there's a good reason for it. The next day I had a new client, and I also had a coaching call, and it meant that my brain would have to switch from sugar to glucose, which is not sugar. Sugar is glucose, to fat. And that can be quite a difficult shift. And I didn't feel like I was making that shift. I felt quite tired. I did actually feel really, really good on the Monday morning, but I made a conscious decision that I was going to eat breakfast so I could be at my best for both my client and myself in the coaching call. And I was really comfortable with that decision. It felt right. It felt nourishing. It was gentle. It was a gentle rebellion against the thing I was already rebelling against, which is the idea that we're always thinking about food and meal times and how to nourish ourselves, and like food's become a big discussion, particularly in the UK. There's a lot of politics around it. It's just got a bit heavy, and not having one meal, I cannot tell you the spaciousness and how I found it really freeing. But then I also found it really good to go, no, not today. Today I'm going to have breakfast. It was great. And what was really interesting was I wasn't very hungry. I wasn't in a hurry to eat. I ate more slowly. I ate more with more consideration. Like, I was really I took my time in preparing it. What's the most when you have fewer meals, it's like, well, what's the most nourishing and enjoyable things I can put into that? It was really good for me. Did I do it properly? No. Have I finished reading the book? No. Did I do weeks 3 and 4? No. Do I care? No. Am I grateful we wrote the book? Very much so. Might I do the longer fast? Maybe, maybe not. Actually, I think it would be fun to do a 24 or even a 36-hour fast, but not as some hard thing to do. The reason I would now consider it is I love it. I'm super excited. I have discovered this better attention control. It's really interesting because the biggest thing for me was where my attention was pulled. So, oh, but you always eat breakfast. And then there was this fear. Oh my goodness. And this passed really fast. But what I noticed is this fear of scarcity. You're not eating. What will happen? You might feel terrible. You might feel weak. Your blood sugar might drop. Like, how many times are we told as children, you must eat this, you must keep your blood sugar up? Sorry, that was a helicopter went over my house just then. Anyway, so what I found in this intermittent fasting was this noticing the hunger and then saying, self-soothing, feeling safe, it's okay. Just going to deliberately miss one meal in order to, and this was important for me, was this, I had this deep purpose to heal my gut. So I imagined my gut mending, you know, like relining itself, whatever, I don't know. I didn't even do it in detail. Just like, my gut is healing. I love my tummy. I love everything it does for me. And then the mitochondria, it's like, I'm going to feel better. I'm going to have more energy. This is a really good reset. This is really good for me. And then my intention was just to go back to eating normally, but I haven't. And I find this fascinating. So I broke the protocol, and then I went back to it by choice on on the Wednesday, just because I could. I really enjoyed it. And I'm really enjoying it now. So I did a shorter fast. I ended it sooner today because that felt right for me. But yesterday I fasted until lunchtime, just because I can, and just because it's nice, and because it gives me space to either go inward and journal more, because it playfully disrupts, it screws with my morning routine, and it's been really good for me. And also, I don't know, there's something really nice about noticing the hunger, noticing the fear over, which I only had for the first day or so, noticing this like instinctive fear. Where's the meal? Where's the meal? And then just going, it's okay. Everything's okay. We're doing this on purpose for a good reason. There's plenty of food. And just having more control over when and how I eat, not rushing to eat, not making sure I've eaten before I do this call, or I've eaten before I do this. Like, I'm recording this at lunchtime. My lunch will be late, and I'm absolutely relaxed about it. So my blood sugar has stabilized. But for me, there's something about paying attention to the signals from my body, and listening really deeply, and then being able to make a choice. So I want to make this clear, I'm not overriding the signals as in pushing them away. And this came up for me. Oh, but you're not listening to your body. Oh, you're slipping back into being really harsh, missing a meal because you're too busy. Wasn't what I was doing. I was choosing to miss a meal and do something else with that time. I was choosing to listen to my body even more deeply. And this is what's happened. I mean, yoga does that. I don't want to say should. Yoga was originally about that. And you can choose to use a yoga practice to connect with your body and your heart and yourself. I chose to do that with the multi-gym, and I chose to do that, I discovered that very, very deeply with my playful, gentle experiment with intermittent fasting. And at the moment, I'm taking the goodness from that and continuing with it in a very gentle way, because I'm enjoying it, because I'm finding it fun. So I just wanted to share that. That's the first thing that I had seen as a hard thing, improve my fitness, and has become easy, expansive, and joyful because I did it gently. Because every time I thought I was pushing or trying really hard or trying to kind of treat myself as a self-improvement project, I caught it and I changed it. And that was really powerful for me. The second thing that I'm doing at the moment is relaunching my group program called Get Your Life Back. Now, I'd noticed that I had this heaviness around it, this like procrastination around it. Oh, it feels really hard. I have to do like lots of difficult things like lives, and just a launch is a big thing. There's lots of tech involved. It's like it felt like a hard thing. So then I caught myself procrastinating. Procrastination and overwhelm around something is a sign that I need to look at it differently for me. And I looked at it and I thought, why have I got this? Why has it become a hard thing when I created it and first launched it? It was the most joyful thing, and it was easy to find people because I was just like, come on in, you've got to experience this. This is amazing. This is my best work yet. What's changed for me? What is going on here? And what I realized was, first of all, I believed it was hard and I had to challenge that. And secondly, I didn't have it priced correctly. I didn't have my vision properly in it. It wasn't on mission. It wasn't like, God, that sounds a bit bleh. It just didn't feel right. Something was off. And taking that, this feels off. So instead of feeling like, well, I ought to relaunch it because it's good, I just listened. And what I found was my original plan was not what I wanted. So my original plan was, this is a way to reach lots of women, but still make it high quality. So I was compromising. This is the problem. So you can do a digital course, which is DIY, and you can eventually, just get that out to lots of people, and they got it. But it's up to them to do it. And then there's the higher priced group program, like a mastermind or just like a group program with lots of one-to-one, and that's much more likely to get people what they want, because you're in there, you're giving lots, you're on it, and they take more responsibility for themselves because they've committed to this. And what I'd done with Get Your Life Back, which I didn't realise at the time, was I'd kind of gone for a hybrid. So what I was trying to do was I was trying to make a group coaching program at the price and input from me of more of a DIY course. I was trying to do a crossover, and I'm sure some people have done that really well, but for me, I've been in one where you bring more and more people in, and then the group coaching consists of like hundreds of people, or even like 1,000 people on a call, and then you just have what's called a hot seat. So maybe 3 or maximum 4 people on a session will get coached, and it's great because you do genuinely learn so much from other people being coached, and it is absolutely incredible how that happens on a call, where somebody will ask a question, it's your question, or it's not even your question, but you just go, oh my God, that's how and you get insight after insight. It's very powerful. I'm not knocking it, but it's not me. It's just not me. I don't, it's not what I now pay for and invest in for myself, because I don't know, I just feel, I don't know if it's an introvert thing, I don't know what it is. It's not what I want. It's not enough for me. I want individual coaching, and for me, I want the group coaching. I want to listen to other people. I want both, and that's just what I choose to invest in for myself, and it's very powerful. So I had to relook. So I listened to the procrastination. I listened to, it feels so hard to relaunch. Launches are hard. How am I wanted to skip what I saw as the hard thing and just be in September, have my group, be working with them one-to-one, be super excited about them, be holding their vision of themselves for them, be watching their results, being scooping them up in the week, and just like, oh my goodness, that's where I wanted to be. But I had this huge block between where I was now and how to get there, and I had to do the hard thing. So I was kind of like, right, you have to just do it. You're not really doing what you said you were doing. You're procrastinating. So I caught that judgment. I listened to the procrastination and I went, what's wrong? And I worked out what it was. It's priced too low for the amount that I wish to put in. It's just too low. Like, it's a whole year. It's a whole year with me. That's like, it's priced too low. I can't I can't give that at that price point. It's not possible. It doesn't feel right. It feels really wrong for me. So I'm doubling the price. And as soon as I doubled the price, I was like, there it is. That's what's wrong. So I'm super excited to be relaunching now. I'm just really excited. It doesn't feel hard any longer. It doesn't feel like this big heavy thing. It doesn't feel like there's this obstacle between me and talking to individually, having those lovely chats to discover if my next group of people are a fit for the program. It doesn't feel hard. It just feels like, I can't wait. I can't wait to be, seeing the calls being booked in my email and going, oh, brilliant. I've got another chat with somebody today about whether Get Your Life Back's a fit for them. Honestly, I'm just so excited now. So now I'm imagining how I can make it even better. And then I remembered some of my original ideas, and it all suddenly makes sense. It suddenly makes sense. This is what I set out to create, and I got distracted by a different format. And now I'm just being more true to myself. And I'm just really, really excited and feel really privileged that soon I will be talking to the next people and welcoming them in and helping them get what they want and more. And I can't wait. So if you think you might want to be in Get Your Life Back, please make sure that you book a chat with me. The link's under this episode, or go to my website, go to the Work With Me page and book a call. You can look at my calendar and just let's talk. Especially as if you do that very soon before the price goes up, I'm honouring the original price just because I said I wouldn't put the price up. And so I'm allowing, if you were one of the people who heard that, you've still got that option before the price doubles. So and also what's super exciting is that you will get the benefits of, well, I'm always upgrading. I mean, I'm always putting lovely surprises in, but I'm genuinely looking at it in a different way. And because I'm looking at it as a group program, not as something that long term I will scale to hundreds or thousands of people, I'm looking at it in a different way, which means I'm able to put in extra call times for people who can't make the weekly and then monthly calls. I'm able to put more in and show up more in a different way. And it's just so excited. I can't wait. So book that discovery call. Do it now before you forget, before you get so overwhelmed and busy by distractions, or before your mind says, oh no, I'll do it later, or maybe I'm not fit, maybe I'm not good enough, maybe I can't do it, maybe I'll do it another time. No, just book the call. It's no obligation. It's just you and me having a chat, me helping you discover what's right for you, so you can make a decision. It's either a hell yes from you, or it's a no from me, because I'm not interested in persuading people. That doesn't work. It's just not a thing. It doesn't make any sense. I'm not open for that. So if you'd like to do that, book a discovery call. Right. So that's how I made fitness not a hard thing. That's how I made my upcoming launch not a hard thing. And thirdly, writing my book. So apparently writing a book's really hard, right? Well, what if it's not? What if for me it's easy? Or what if I can make it easy? Or I don't know, I'm open for it being easy, because you know what? I'm done with it being hard. So if you've been listening for a while, I wrote the first draft 2 years ago and it's not published. And then I committed to writing this one in April and I wrote it. It's not published. Why isn't it published? Because editing's really hard. Like, I can write, and I write far more than I publish, because I find editing harder. So, because I have to go in and deal with spelling and grammar, and I just have to write, and then I just start, my coach calls it polishing away the magic, So, this is what I did. I decided, for me, it's easy. I decided it doesn't need to be perfect. I decided that I'm doing it anyway, and I've decided it needs to be out in September. because I'm done with waiting and I can feel the next book already. So this is what I did. I used the procrastination to identify the resistance, because procrastination is a symptom of resistance. Do I really want to do this? Hell yes. Have I got a book in me? Lots of books in me. Are people waiting to read this book? Yes, people keep asking, where's the book? So it doesn't have to be perfect. Am I scared it's going to not be brilliant? Well, I was, and now I've decided it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm perfectly okay with how I know it will be. So I'm starting to trust myself, trust my process, trust that there's at least one person out there who wants to read it and that they will benefit from it. And when I write it for them, it's different. In fact, what I then did was I sat down and wrote it to myself 10 years ago. And that was really helpful, because then it becomes a work of healing for myself. Imagine if I had found this book 10 years ago, how much pain I could have saved myself. But it just becomes easier. And that's the point, right? To make it easier, and then also I did two other things which are really important. One, I decided I'm a writer and a soon to be published author, and that changed things. So I wrote at the top of my calendar for August, I am a writer. And then I decided last week that I would write every day just to get back into the habit of writing, because I've really enjoyed that habit when I was writing my book. So I blogged, but didn't tell anyone. So I've published 5 blogs on my website. You can go and check it out now. And I just blogged every day. That's just what I do. I get up, I write, I blog. I get up, I write, I blog. I made it a smaller thing. It's not a big deal. I can write. I've loved writing for a long time. I've had blogs before. I'm just right. I write because I'm a writer, soon to be published author. And then what I did is I imagined my book completed and out in the world being appreciated in September. And that's what I'm doing. So I'm doing a daily, I imagine my book is completed with ease and it's out in the world being appreciated. So I made writing a book not hard. It's not a hard thing. It's just something I do. I feel passionate about this. I want to do it, but I absolutely refuse to do it the hard way, because I am done with doing things the hard way. I am done with being told things are hard. I am done with being told life has to be hard if you want more than the average. I am done. I'm done. I'm not open for things being hard, full stop. I know how to gently rebel and make things work for me. I know how to make my life magical. I choose to gently rebel and do things differently. I choose to gently rebel and reject the narrative that things have to be hard. I get to decide. Might I come across something that's too hard? Maybe, but in my life, I've suffered illness, bereavements, all sorts of difficulties, and I have survived them. So, yes, of course, there are painful, difficult things in life, but how we deal with them, how we approach them, how we lean into support for those things makes them harder or easy or less hard or easier or gentler or impossible or possible. How we do things matters. So, I really, really hope that you have got a lot out of this episode. I am not going to apologise for its length. I could feel the apology coming, and I rejected it, because this is a rich episode and I have shared a lot of personal stuff which I hope will really, really help you. Just to summarise quickly, doing hard things the gentle way means gently rebelling against the idea that they have to be hard, that they are hard, by looking for evidence that somebody somewhere once even has done them in an easier way, by rejecting, or even more gently, just resisting the idea that life has to be hard or that doing hard things is necessary to have what we want, by listening to resistance that comes up for you about this idea that things don't have to be hard, and then just exploring that resistance, whether it's to do with being lazy, selfish, or missing out on your full adventure. And then I shared 3 examples of how I am doing this myself through fitness, through my relaunch of my group coaching program, and through writing my book. I hope that has made you want to turn your hard things into possibilities in an easier, gentler way. Thanks for being here. See you next week. Thank you for listening to this week's episode. If this resonates with you, please use the like, subscribe and share buttons to help other people find their way here too. And please do go to www.heidimark.co.uk/the 1 minute mark with an E to join my mailing list and receive my free 1 minute life-changing audio practice.